Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Chloe Feng. Our top stories tonight. A second person dies from malaria after arriving from Africa. China takes countermeasures against the United States in retaliation for Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. And a fire in a bar in Thailand kills at least 14 people and injures 40. A second person has died from malaria after arriving in Hong Kong from Africa. The hospital authority reassured the public, saying there are enough medicines to treat the mersical-borne disease. Macy Mock reports.
The hospital authority said a second malaria patient died in Queen Elizabeth Hospital this afternoon. The man was reported to be in a very bad condition when he was admitted on Wednesday. He was put under intensive care and provided with breathing support. Another person suffering malaria died during quarantine earlier. The disease is transmitted through mosquitoes. The Center for Health Protection reported 30 imported malaria cases as of yesterday. All the patients were men, and 21 arrived from Guinea in West Africa. The head of the Communicable Disease Branch, Chuang Shuk-kwan, said arrivals from Guinea who have symptoms will be sent to hospital. Those without signs of the disease may have to undergo a blood test. Hospital Authority Chief Manager Lau Ka-hin said enough medicines have been bought to treat malaria patients. Maisie Mock, HKIBC.
One more COVID case has been added to the Wong Tai Sin Hospital cluster, which was triggered by a compassionate hospital visit. A nurse was the latest to be infected, taking the tally to 5, including 4 patients. At Sha Tin Hospital, 4 ambulance transfer service staff contracted COVID. 2 were found positive through contact tracing. Hong Kong today reported 4,428 infections, 205 of which were imported. There were 4 COVID-related deaths, and 6 more people are critically ill. With cases remaining high, the government is maintaining social distancing measures. The Children's Hospital, which offers BioNTech vaccines, is preparing to offer Sinovac jabs to infants as young as 6 months. It has created a child-friendly environment and may provide additional facilities. Janice Low reports.
The Children's Hospital in Kai Tak has not received any complaint of severe allergic reactions after administering more than 50,000 jabs since opening its child community vaccination center in mid-February. For now, only BioNTech vaccines are offered for children aged 5 and older. But the hospital is confident that it can also provide Sinovac shots for those between 6 months and 3 years old, following the lowering of the minimum age for vaccinations. Anne Kwok, coordinator of the vaccination center, suggested that parents bring their infants and toddlers to receive COVID and the other required jabs at the same time.
Because clearly seeing a rising trend of the infected people in the population. And in terms of the scheduling, most of those vaccines is very safe that we can give it together.
Kwok suggested that children be administered jabs in different body parts to ease the discomfort. For now, chairs at the center are set up in pairs for parents to sit together with their children. But baby carrying and breastfeeding facilities might be added if the government wants the hospital to also provide Sinovac shots. The setting in the hospital has been designed to ease vaccine jitters among children. There are even balloons to cheer them up. After receiving the jab, they will get this badge as a reward. Janice Low, HKIBC.
Beijing has imposed countermeasures against the United States and sanctioned U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi for visiting Taiwan. 8 initiatives against the U.S. include the scrapping of talks between Chinese and American military officers, cooperation on deporting illegal immigrants, criminal justice, cross-border crimes, and fighting climate change has been suspended. Beijing also sanctioned Pelosi and her immediate family. Details were not disclosed, but she is the highest-ranking U.S. official to face Chinese penalties. Pelosi ended her Asian tour today with a stop in Tokyo, where she met Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. China, meanwhile, has continued its military drills around Taiwan. Ballistic missiles were reportedly launched over Taiwan for the first time as part of Beijing's response to Pelosi's visit to the island.
China's unprecedented military exercises went into a second day with the closest live-fire drills to Taiwan. Reports said the American aircraft carrier, which was in the region when U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi made her controversial visit to Taiwan, retreated a few hundred kilometers. According to mainland military strategist Meng Xiangqing, the USS Ronald Reagan moved away after China set up a shooting range east of Taiwan. Meng added that it's the first time a People's Liberation Army aircraft carrier group with at least one nuclear submarine is on a training mission. Also a first was a flight of Chinese ballistic missiles over Taiwan, despite the island being monitored by the U.S. Aegis Combat Defense System.
也就是说，想什么时候打什么时候打。
Meng said this means China is ready to fight anywhere, anytime. Taiwan insisted that PLA missiles did not fly over the island. But Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said 5 Chinese missiles appeared to have fallen in Tokyo's exclusive economic zone, with 4 probably having flown over Taiwan's main island. He condemned China's ballistic missile launch, saying it threatened Japan's security. Mainland drones were sent to photograph Chinese rockets hitting targets in the Taiwan Strait. Vice Foreign Minister Deng Li summoned European envoys to say that a G7 statement condemning the exercises sent a wrong signal to separatist forces in Taiwan. Meanwhile, cyber attacks on several official Taiwanese websites have increased since Pelosi landed on the island on Tuesday.
At least 14 people were killed and around 40 injured when fire engulfed a pub in eastern Thailand. Shoes and clothes littered the floor in the aftermath of the tragedy. Videos circulating online showed people with their clothes on fire as they scrambled out of the crowded bar in the Satayip district of Chonburi province, about 150 kilometers south of Bangkok. People inside said the fire spread very quickly and explosions were heard. Locally again, a preliminary investigation into the freak accident at Hong Kong Coliseum last week suggested metal fatigue was to blame. The deduction was made after a microscopic inspection of the wire, which snapped and caused a giant screen to crash onto the stage. But Leisure and Cultural Services Department Assistant Director Li Zichuan insisted investigators will not rule out other possibilities. He also refused to disclose if any party was at fault. Mo Li, the dancer who was struck by the falling screen, remains in critical condition at Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Police are launching new online scam detection system next month to help people check whether any social media shop or online payment account has been tainted with fraud. This follows a surge in online shopping scams. Joanna Ho reports.
The new scam and cyber pitfall detecting system named Scammeter replaces the online phishing scam search engine. People can use the search bar to type suspicious online traces, such as social media page names and payee account numbers, to see if they were connected with any fraud. This comes as online shopping fraud cases in the first 6 months of this year jumped by 41% from the same period last year. In one case, 6 victims lost a total of $230,000 after buying 9 counterfeit handbags and a pair of wireless earbuds. Police are joining forces with dominant social media companies such as Meta and Carousel to combat online fraud.
Besides suspending and deleting accounts from our own detection, we also have our dedicated team to work with law enforcement agencies like Hong Kong Police Force and Hong Kong Customs to identify suspected accounts.
Police urged people to carefully check the identity of online sellers before making any purchases. Consumers were also advised to be cautious when buying from new online shops. The force, meanwhile, warned that online recruitment frauds have surged.
In the first half year of 2021, there were only 350 recruitment fraud. And then in the first half year of 2022, it has increased by 364% to 1,624 cases.
The cases between January and June led to a total loss of $211 million, which is a whopping increase from a year ago. Joanna Ho, HKIBC.
Back in Hong Kong, the government will start distributing the second installment of its consumer voucher scheme from Sunday. More than 6 million people will receive $2,000 through their stored value facility accounts. The remaining $3,000 will be handed out later in the year. Another 150,000 people have become eligible for the scheme, and they will receive the full amount of $10,000 in phases. The Hang Seng Index has closed the week on a positive note despite increased cross-strait tensions. A marginal gain extended the benchmark's winning streak to 3 days, but tech stocks led the market down with e-commerce giant Alibaba falling 2.2%, although its second quarter earnings were better than expected. Tencent was also lower, losing 1.4%. Billionaire Li Ka-shing's CK Hutchison gained 1.6% after announcing a rise in first-half net profit. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index closed up 27 points. Top 10 active stocks, Tencent closed down $4.40. Alibaba was down $2.10. Meituan was down 30 cents. Tracker Fund was up 2 cents. BYD Company was down $3.60. JD.com was down 60 cents. Forex trading against Hong Kong dollars, the euro is at 8.03, British pound at 9.52, Australian dollar at 5.45. Moving on to the UK market, the London FTSE is down 5 points. Britain's central bank has raised interest rates by the most in 3 decades to fight soaring inflation, while warning that a recession is round the corner.
The most pressing and important problem to tackle is inflation first and foremost, because without it, we won't have economic stability, we won't see investment, we won't see consumption, and it's very, very difficult to grow an economy when price levels are spiraling out of control.
Interest rates rose by 50 basis points to 1.75%. This makes borrowing and mortgages more expensive. But the Bank of England says it must tame inflation, which is predicted to climb to 13% later this year and impose more hardships on lower-income households. On to the weather now. Tomorrow will be cloudy with a few showers and thunderstorms, followed by sunny periods. Temperatures will range between 26 and 32 degrees. More of the same in the following days. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Friday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Chloe Feng. Good night.